Chat, I forgot to get my tea. That's why it's taking so long. Fuck. My tea. It's okay. I'm back now. Alright, I hope y'all enjoyed music time. Because we're not going to have music this stream. Ah! Why am I so short? One sec. I gotta fix this before I share my screen. Alright. Hello, everyone. Hello. Oh, wrong button. Lol. Anyways. That just ruined the surprise, but hopefully no one saw. No one saw, right? Okay, cool. No one saw. Boom. Anyways. Hello. I'm gonna turn this down even more. We're doing something different today, so if you clicked on the notification or if you see the title or anything, honestly, you're gonna know that this is definitely not what I usually do. Usually I'm playing games, yapping, but I've been told on multiple occasions that people want a reading stream. So I thought, where better to start than with the Iliad. We're not going to read the introduction. We're just going to kind of jump right into the first book of the Iliad. I can't promise that I'll be super interactive with chat. I'll try to interact where I can, but like it's a lot. Okay. I originally was going to have like a PDF going that I was going to flip through, but unfortunately I could not find a PDF in time. We are going to be reading Emily Wilson's translation, which is the first woman to translate the Iliad and the Odyssey and have it be published. And she has a lot of very unique sort of interpretations and translations. And yeah, so if you are following along at home with your own copy and you're like, what the fuck? This isn't, that's not supposed to, that's not what that says. I'm sorry, but like, oh, that's not the button I meant to hit. I'm sorry, but like, this is her translation. It is very different. Anyways, well, let me go ahead and get into my reading tuber, because it's reading time. Oh my god, why am I so far up on the, one sec. Okay, I've scooted down, it's fine. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and hop into it. Let me turn off studio mode. And, oh, I don't want to stop this song. I love this song. But whatever, we're gonna turn that off. And yeah, I've got my cup of tea. So if y'all want to go ahead and grab a cup of tea and chill with me, I'm gonna Ugh. This is also supposed to help me get over my fear of public speaking mildly, because I should be cozy on the side of the screen. I don't have any legs. How am I meant to be cozy? Okay. Is that cozy enough for you guys? You enjoy me in the corner? Is that where I belong without my legs? No, side of the fixture, like here? Like this? Smile? Yay. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Alright. Composition. Oh my god. Alright. So we're at book 1, The Quarrel. Goddess, sing of the cataclysmic wrath of great Achilles, son of Peleus, which caused the Greeks immeasurable pain, and sent so many noble souls of heroes to Hades, and made men the spoils of dogs, a banquet for the birds, and so the plan of Zeus unfolded, starting with the conflict between great Agamemnon, lord of men, and glorious Achilles. Which god set the pair apart and prompted them to fight? Apollo, son of Leto and of Zeus, furious at the son of Atreus. The gods spread deadly plague throughout the camp, so that common troops begin to die, because their leader, Agamemnon, treated Chrysippus, I don't speak Greek, Chrysippus, Apollo's priest, with disrespect. This priest had come towards the swift Greek ships and faced the warriors bedecked in bronze to free his daughter with a countless ransom. He had removed his sacred diadem, the emblem of the distant god Apollo, and held it wrapped around a golden staff, and prayed to all the Greeks, and most especially the pair of men who brought the troops to Troy, the sons of Atreus, Lord Agamemnon and Menelaus. Sons of Atreus, and all you other warriors from Greece, I pray the gods who live on Mount Olympus allow you to destroy King Priam's city and safely reach your homes, if you return my darling child to me. Accept this ransom and satisfy Apollo, son of Zeus, the god who shoots and strikes from far away. Then all the other Greeks agreed to take the lavish ransom and respect the priest. But this proposal did not please the heart of Agamemnon, son of Atreus. He spoke to him aggressively and sent him harshly away. Be off with you, old man. Sorry. I yawn a lot when I read out loud. Whatever. Be off with you, old man. You must not let me catch you lingering here beside our hollow ships a moment longer. And if you ever come back here again, your staff and diadem will not protect you. I will not let her go. She shall grow old in a very long way from her fatherland in Argos, in my house, and work the loom and share my bed. Now go, do not enrage me. Go if you want to get away alive. At this, the old man was afraid. He left and walked in silence on the shore, beside the loud resounding rumble of the sea. Once he was far away from everyone, he prayed to Lord Apollo, son of Leto, the goddess with the lovely braided hair. Lord of the silver bow, now hear my prayer. Great guardian of Tenedos and Chryse and sandy Scylla, mouse lord, if I ever built temples to your liking, ever burned fat thighs of oxen or of goat for you, fulfill this prayer for me, and let the Greeks suffer your arrows to avenge my tears. This was his prayer, and Phoebus heeded him. Enraged at heart, he swooped down from the peaks of Mount Olympus, bearing on his shoulders his quiver and bow. As he moved in rage, his arrows clattered at his back. Like night, the god descended. Then he sat a distance from the ships and started shooting. Ah! His silver bow let out a dreadful howl. First he attacked the mules and nimble dogs, then turned his piercing weapon on the men, and pyres were always burning, piled with corpses. For 9 long days the god's darts flew through the camp, and on the 10th Achilles called the troops together at the meeting place. This thought was put into his mind by white-armed Hera, because this goddess cared about the Greeks. She saw that they were dying. When the men were gathered and assembled for the meeting, swift-footed Lord Achilles stood and spoke. Now, Agamemnon, son of Atreus, if we are crushed by war and plague at once, we will be forced to swivel round again and go back home to save ourselves from death. But come now, we must ask a priest or prophet or someone who knows the way of dreams, for certainly dreams come to us from Zeus, to tell us why Apollo is enraged. He may be angry at a broken vow or lack of lavish offerings to him. He may accept the fat of He may accept the fat of sheep and goat and turn this plague away from us. With that, Achilles sat back down, and Calchas, son of Thestor, stood. He was by far the best interpreter of signs from birds. He knew the past, the present, and the future. He was the guide who brought the fleet to Troy through skill and prophecy, bestowed on him by Lord Apollo. With goodwill, he spoke. I'm trying so hard not to yawn. I'm so sorry, chat. Achilles, favorite of Zeus, you tell me to speak about the wrath of Lord Apollo, the distant archer god, and I will do so if you swear that you will keep me safe. Protect me with your actions and your words. I am afraid I may enrage a man who has great power over all the Greeks, whom everybody follows and obeys. A leader is more powerful and stronger when he is angry with a lesser man. He may consume his anger for that day, but he will keep the grudge inside his belly until at last he acts on it. So tell me if you will keep me safe." And in reply, swift-footed Lord Achilles said to him, "You do not need to worry now. Speak freely and tell us what you know about the gods." "By Lord Apollo, the dear son of Zeus, to whom you pray when you reveal to us the gods' intentions. Calchas, this I swear, no one will lay a heavy hand on you beside the hollow ships, not while I live and see the light. Not one of all the Greeks will harm you, even if you speak about Lord Agamemnon, who now styles himself the best by far of all the Greeks." At this, the seer took courage and replied, "The god is not upset about a broken vow, or lack of lavish offerings to him. It is the priest who Agamemnon scorned, whose daughter he would not give back for ransom. That is the reason that the archer god gives us these troubles, and will give yet more. He will not drive away the deadly plague that now afflicts the Greeks till Agamemnon returns the bright-eyed woman to her father without a ransom or reward." Ah! Thank you for the follow, the fish ate you. Thank you. I feel like for a reading stream, my alerts are a little... Anyways. And carries a hecatomb to Chryse. Then we may appease the god. With this he sat back down, but Agamemnon, son of Atreus, the mighty lord and warrior, stood up aggrieved, his black heart full of furious rage. Thank you for the follow, Anti-Paranormal. His eyes shone bright as fire. He scowled at Calchas and said to him, "You prophet of disaster! Your words have never done me any good. You always love foretelling pain and trouble, but you have never mentioned or fulfilled one single good thing. Now you tell the Greeks more tales about the wishes of the gods. You claim the archer laid this pain on us because I did not want to take the ransom. I want the girl Chrysis in my home. I like her more than my own Clytemnestra. Asshole. My wife. You see, she is no worse than her in figure, height, intelligence, or skill. But I am still prepared to give her back, if that is best. I want the army safe, not dead. Now go, find me another trophy, so I am not the only Greek commander who lacks a trophy. That would be unfair. You can all see my trophy going elsewhere." If any of you have not read the Iliad, Agamemnon is an asshole from start to finish. Swift-footed Lord Achilles answered him, "Lord Agamemnon, son of Atreus, no one is more acquisitive than you. How can the valiant Greeks give you a trophy? We see no heaps of treasure lying round ready to be divvied up. The wealth that we have looted from the neighboring towns has been shared out, and it would be unfair to make the warriors return it all. You have to send this woman to the god at once. One day we Greeks will pay you back with treasure worth 3 times as much, or 4, if ever Zeus grants us the chance to take the high-walled town of Troy." Lord Agamemnon answered him and said to him, "God-like Achilles, however brave and skillful you may be, stop playing tricks, and do not try to rob me. You will not make me do as you propose, and you will never get ahead of me. You obviously want to keep your trophy, and leave me sitting here with none at all. Are you commanding me to give her back? Fine, if the Greeks provide another trophy to satisfy my heart and make it fair. But if they do not give me one, I shall come and seize a trophy for myself. Your trophy, or that of Ajax or Odysseus. The man I visit will be furious. We will discuss this another time. But come now, let us drag the black ship down and launch it on the bright salt sea and gather a crew of rowers, and then stow aboard the hecatomb and beautiful Chrysis. Chrysaea? Yep. Sitting with Chrysis. Chrysaeus. Yep. One council member needs to go and lead them. Perhaps godlike Odysseus, or Ajax, or Idomeneus, or you, Achilles, the wildest, most aggressive man alive. This leader must appease the god of distance by making proper sacrifice to him. I need drink. My tea. I have Earl Grey lavender. It's very good. The lavender's a little stale though, so it's meh. Anyways. Swift-footed Lord Achilles scowled and said, "Incredible! You dress in shame. You are obsessed with getting profits for yourself. Which of the Greeks would willingly agree to make a trip because you told them to, or fight against an enemy for you? I did not come to Troy because I wanted to fight against the warriors of Troy. They never did me any harm at all. They never raided cows from me, nor horses, nor blighted fertile fields that fed the men of Pythia, far away across so many shadowy hills reverberating seas. I came with you, you brazen cheat, to please you, to claim back compensation for the Trojans, for Menelaus, and for you, you dog-face. But none of that means anything to you. You do not even care. And now you threaten to take away the trophy that I worked for, after the sons of Greece gave it to me. You always get a better one than mine, when we sack any wealthy Trojan town. My hands work hardest in the frenzied fighting, but when we share the spoils, you get much more. I come back to the ships, worn out from battle, with something valuable to me, but small. So I will go back home to Pythia now, in my curved ships, because that is much better. I will not stay here to be disrespected, serving up wealth and revenue for you." And Agamemnon, Lord of Men, replied, "Then off you go if that is what you want. I certainly will not be begging you to stay at Troy for me. You see, I have plenty of other helpers at my side, ready to treat me with respect and honor, including Zeus, the god of strategy. I hate you more than any other leader, any of those whom Zeus protects and loves. You always relish war and fights and conflict. You may be strong, but some god gave you that. Go home. Take all your ships and your companions and rule your myrmidons. Murmurs. Shush. I'm not a comfort streamer. This is not my brand. Don't lie to anyone in chat who thinks this is my brand. This is not my brand. I do not care. To me, you are entirely unimportant. Your anger does not bother me at all. But this I swear to you, just as Apollo will take Chrysis back, away from me, when I send her to him on my own ship, escorted by my very own companions, so I shall take your beautiful Briseis, your trophy. I myself will come and get her in person from your tent, so you will see how far superior I am to you, and other men will shrink from talking back to me as if we were on equal terms." Oh, sorry. Reading this, every time I read the Iliad, I hate Agamemnon more and more. He's the worst. At this, Achilles, son of Peleus, was most deeply troubled, and his innermost heart inside his hairy chest was split into two, as he considered whether he should draw the sharp sword that was hanging by his thigh and rouse the men and slaughter Agamemnon, or curb his anger and restrain his impulse. As he pondered in his mind, he started to draw the mighty blade out from its sheath. But then Athena swooped down from the sky. She had been sent forth by the white-armed goddess Hera, who loved both men. Athena stood behind Achilles, son of Peleus, and grabbed him by his chestnut hair. She was invisible to everyone but him. Achilles, startled, turned and recognized Athena. She had bright, unearthly eyes. His words flew out. "Why have you come here, daughter of Zeus, the god who holds the royal Aegis? Was it to see the cruel violence of Agamemnon, son of Atreus? I tell you, this will surely come to pass. Soon he will die for all his arrogance." Grey-eyed Athena said, "I came from heaven to hold your fury back, if you will listen. The white-armed goddess Hera sent me here because she loves and cares for both of you. Now stop this quarrel. Do not draw your sword. Taunt him with words and tell him what will happen. I promise you that this will be fulfilled. You will receive 3 times as many gifts one day, because you suffered this affront. Listen to me. Hold back." And in reply, the swift-footed Lord Achilles said to her, "Goddess, when you two speak, a man must listen, however furious his heart may feel. It is the better choice. The gods take heed of those who show obedience to them. Grasping the silver hilt with his strong hand, he pushed the big sword back into its scabbard. He did not disobey Athena's words. And she rejoined the gods on Mount Olympus inside the house of Aegis-bearing Zeus. Achilles, son of Peleus, again berated Agamemnon with harsh words. His anger was not over yet. He said, "You dog face, drunk and heavy with your wine. You have the heart and courage of a deer. You never dare to put your armor on and march to battle with the common troops, or join the finest fighters on a raid. That seems like death to you. You much prefer to saunter through the mighty Greek encampment and steal from any man who speaks against you. Cannibal king, you eat your people up. You are a leader of non-entities. Otherwise, Agamemnon, this would be the very last time you abuse someone. And I shall swear to you a mighty oath, by this staff here, which will not grow more leaves or branches. It was cut upon the mountain and left its stump behind, and it will never sprout with fresh shoots, because the bronze has stripped its leaves and bark. And now the sons of Greece pick up this staff and hold it in their hands when they are passing judgments to protect the customs and the laws that come from Zeus. By this I swear to you a mighty oath. The Greeks will all be longing for Achilles one day, and you will have no power to help. And you will grieve, and many men will die at Hector's murderous hands. Then you will tear your heart inside you in a bitter rage, because you failed to pay the best Greek fighter proper respect." Achilles spoke these words, hurled to the ground the golden-studded scepter, and then sat down himself. Across from him, the son of Atreus, Lord Agamemnon, was seething in his wrath. Among them, Nestor, the eloquent, queer speaker, Lord of Pylos, stood up to talk. His fluent voice poured sweeter than honey from his tongue. 2 generations of mortal men had grown and lived with him, and passed away, and now he ruled the third in holy Pylos. With goodwill he spoke, and said to the assembly, "This is dreadful. What pain is coming to the land of Greece? Priam and Priam's sons and all the Trojans would be delighted if they learned you two, the best of all the Greeks at war and council, are quarreling among yourselves like this. But you must listen to my advice. Both of you are much younger than I am. I've spent time in days gone by with men who were superior to both of you, and those great men did not look down upon me. I never saw their like. I do not now. I used to know Pirithous and Dryas, the shepherd of the people, Ceneus, Exadius, and godlike Polyphemus, and Theseus, who seemed like an immortal. Those were the strongest men alive on earth. They fought the strongest mountain beast and killed them. I was in distant Pylos, but they asked me to join them, and alone I went to battle. No man on earth today could fight with them, but they paid heed to my advice, and listened, and did as I advised. So you should also listen to me. Obedience is best. You, Agamemnon, are a mighty man, but do not take that woman. Leave her be. The Greeks gave her to him to be his trophy. And you, son of Achilles, son of Peleus, do not confront a ruler face to face. A ruler with a staff, who's been granted glory by Zeus, receives a special status. So even if you are the stronger man, and even though a goddess was your mother, he is more powerful because he rules over a much larger group of people. But son of Atreus, Lord Agamemnon, restrain your rage. Give up your furious anger against Achilles. Please, I beg of you. He is the greatest defense for all the Greeks against horrific war." Lord Agamemnon replied, "Old man, all that is well and good, but this man wants to be superior to everyone else, to dominate, to lead us all, to rule us all, to give orders to everyone. In my opinion, nobody will comply with his commands. If deathless gods have made him good at fighting, must his insulting slanders sprint ahead?" Godlike Achilles interrupted him and said, I would be surely called a coward and a non-entity if I bowed down to follow you in everything you say. Go and give orders to the other men, but do not ever tell me what to do. I am all done with listening to you. But I will tell you this, take it to heart. I will not use my hands to fight with you about a woman, or with anyone, though you gave her to me, then took her back. But I will keep the other things I have beside my swift black ship. You cannot come and steal a single one of them from me. And if you try, let these men be the witness. Your black blood will soon spurt around my spear. With these aggressive words, the two men fought. Then both of them stood up, and so they ended the meeting of the Greeks beside the ship. Achilles, son of Peleus, went back to his own steady ships and his own tent, and with him went Patroclus and their men. Hey, Patroclus. Meow. Thank you for the follow, Mimi. Appreciate it. Where was I? I got distracted by Patroclus. And Agamemnon, son of Atreus, launched the swift ship to sea, chose 20 rowers, and drove the cattle for the god on board, and led fresh-faced Chryseis, I think her name is Chryseis, to sit down. Artful Odysseus embarked as leader. When everybody was aboard, they sailed across the ways of water, and meanwhile, the son of Atreus, Lord Agamemnon, ordered the common troops to cleanse themselves. They did so, then poured the dirty water into the salty sea, and sacrificed the perfect hecatombs of bulls and gods along the shore beside the barren sea to please Apollo. And the savor twisted up through the smoke and rose into the sky. These were the tasks the men performed in camp. Real quick pause for anyone who doesn't actually know anything about epics. This was an oral story, which is why it is the way it is. That's why they say artful, they fresh-faced, son of blah blah blah, and why they're literally just describing random crap happening. We're gonna get to a part of the book at some point. Not tonight, I don't think, because this is like one of the later books, where they just do nothing but list characters. Just list people and ships. I'm not even joking. Wait, has my thing been paused? No! Oh my gosh. Sorry, my background was supposed to be moving this whole time. I was like, oh, why is it not moving? I'm upset. Anyways. But Agamemnon did not stop the conflict. He carried out the threat that he had made against Achilles earlier and ordered Euripides, and quick Talthybius, who were his trusted messengers and aides, go to Achilles' tent and take the hand of fine, fresh-faced Briseis. Bring her here, and if he will not give her up, I shall go there myself with more men, which will be worse for him. With those aggressive words, he ordered them. Unwillingly, they went along the beach beside the barren sea and reached the place the Myrmidons were camped. I think it's Myrmidons were camped. They found him by his black ship, by his tent. Achilles was not pleased to see them come. Why are you eating? Stop eating. The men stood awestruck, frightened at the ruler, and did not speak to him or say a word. He understood and said, "Come in, and welcome. Heralds are messengers of Zeus and men. I do not blame you. I blame Agamemnon. He sent you here to get the girl, Briseis. Then go then, divine Patroclus. Divine Patroclus, bring the girl and let them take her. Let these two be witness to gods and mortals and that cruel lord, if one day I am needed to protect others from ruin." Now destructive thoughts seethe in his mind. He is incapable of planning for the near or distant future, to let the Greeks fight safely by the ships. Patroclus did as his dear friend had asked, and brought fresh-faced Briseis from the tent, and gave her to the men to take away. They started walking back beside the ships. The woman walked unwillingly beside them. Meanwhile, Achilles went to sit alone, away from all his comrades, and he wept beside the gray salt water, looking out across the endless sea. He raised his arms and made a fervent prayer to his dear mother. "Mother, you birthed me for so short a life that Zeus, high god of thunder on Olympus, should give me glory at the very least, but I get nothing. Now this lord of lords, this Agamemnon, son of Atreus, has disrespected me. He took my trophy. He seized it and now keeps it for himself." He spoke through tears. His goddess mother heard him down in the salty depths where she was sitting beside her father. Instantly, she rose out of the dim salt water like a mist and sat beside him as he wept, and touched him, stroking him with her hand, and said his name, and spoke, and asked him, "Child, why are you crying? What pain has touched your heart? Do not conceal it. Tell me, and let us both know." Sobbing hard, swift-footed Lord Achilles said, "You know! Why ask me this when you know everything? We went to Thebes, sacked the holy town of Etion, and looted everything. The sons of Greece divided the spoils equitably and gave fresh Chryseis to Agamemnon, son of Atreus. But Chryseis was father of Chryseis, a priest of Lord Apollo, distant archer. And so this priest approached the swift Greek ships and faced the warriors bedecked in bronze to free his daughter with a countless ransom. He had removed his sacred diadem, the emblem of the distant god Apollo, and held it wrapped around a golden staff, and prayed to all the Greeks, and most especially the pair of men who brought the troops to Troy, the sons of Atreus. The others all agreed they should accept the lavish ransom and show respect and reverence to the priest. But this proposal did not please the heart of Agamemnon, son of Atreus. He spoke to him aggressively and sent him harshly away. The old man was enraged. He left the Greeks and prayed to Lord Apollo. Apollo heard his prayer. He loved the priest and shot his fatal arrows at the Greeks. The people kept on dying as his weapons flew everywhere, all through the great Greek camp. The prophet knew the archer god's intentions and told us, and at once I said we must appease the god. But rage seized Agamemnon. He jumped up right away and made a threat, which now has been fulfilled. The bright-eyed Greeks are taking her by swift ship back to Chryse, with offerings for the god. Just now his heralds came to my tent and took the girl Briseis. But the sons of Greece had given to me. But mother, throw your arms around your child and save me and protect me if you can. Oh. Go up to Mount Olympus, pray to Zeus, if you have ever helped him in the past and pleased his heart by any word or deed. I often heard you in your father's halls claim that you were the only deathless god who saved the son of Cronus, storm god Zeus, from ruin, when the others on Olympus, Hera, Poseidon, and Athena, tried to bind him. Goddess, you released his chains. You quickly summoned him up to high Olympus, the 100-handed giant, who is named Briareus among the gods, but humans call him Agion. You called him because his strength is even greater than his father's. He sat by Zeus, exultant in his glory. The gods who live at ease were terrified and gave up their attempt to chain up Zeus. You must remind him now of all this. Go sit beside him, touch his knees, and ask him to help the Trojans, and to trap the Greeks between the ships and salty sea to die, so all of them can profit from their ruler, and Agamemnon, son of Atreus, can recognize his own insanity. He paid the best Greek fighter no respect. All right, one sec. I gotta drink my tea. My throat's a little dry. Yum, yum, yum. Thetis, in tears, replied, "My boy, my child, why did I birth you for such suffering? Why did I mother you, take care of you? I wish you could sit quietly by your ships and never have to suffer tears or troubles, because it is your destiny to live so very short a time, not long at all. But even as your death runs fast behind you, you are the most unhappy man alive. A curse attended at your birth. I shall go to Olympus where the snow lies deep and talk to Zeus, who loves the thunderbolt. I hope I can persuade him. And meanwhile, sit by your ships and rage against the Greeks and stay entirely away from war." Yesterday, the noble Zeus went off to ocean, joining the noble Ethiopians for a Huh? Sorry, I didn't Cool. Yeah. Hell yeah. Joining the noble Ethiopians for a feast. I don't think that's what they're moving on. The gods all went with him, but in 12 days he will come back again to Mount Olympus. Then I shall go inside the house of Zeus and stand upon the pavement of bronze and take him by the knees and supplicate him. I think I shall persuade him. All right, one sec. Okay, soul, let me check. Let me check if this is right. Let me check. Oh! Yeah, that's right. That's all good. Vine boom. Vine thud sound effect. Maybe I should disable those when doing a reading stream. I don't... Imagine you're trying to relax. You're enjoying this reading, and then suddenly you hear boom! Vine thud. Anyways. With these words, she went away and left Achilles there, still angry in his heart about the woman, taken by force from him against his will. Meanwhile, Odysseus had come to Chryse, bringing the hecatomb. When they had sailed inside the deep recesses of the harbor, they furled the sails and packed them in the ship, quickly pulled down the mast with stays and set it inside its holder, then rowed to shore. They cast the anchor stones and tied the ropes to stern, then disembarked in breaking waves. They drove the 100 cattle off the ship to offer to the archer god Apollo. Chryseis also left the quick black ship. And then Odysseus, the mastermind of strategy, led her towards the altar into her loving father's arms and said, Chryseis, Commander Agamemnon sent me to bring your daughter and to sacrifice a holy hecatomb on our behalf to mollify Apollo, who has cast a terrible catastrophe upon us. He handed her into her father's arms, who joyfully received his darling daughter. The men soon set the cattle round the altar and cleansed themselves and sprinkled barley grains. Chryseis, arms lifted, loudly prayed for them. Silver bow, guardian of Chryse, Lord of holy Scylla and of Tendos, as once before you listened to my prayers and honored me and overwhelmed the Greeks, so now fulfill for me this new request, drive off their deadly plague. Apollo heard him. The men prayed too and sprinkled barley grains, pulled back the cattle's heads and slit their necks, and skinned them, and cut off the thighs and laid 2 strips of fat on across them, with raw meat on top. The old man burned them on a log and poured the flashing wine as a libation. The young man at his side held 5-pronged forks. Oh, thank you, so. They burned the thighs and ate the inner parts, and carved the rest, and put the meat on spits, and roasted it with care, then drew it off. They finished with the work of making food, then ate, and everybody had his share. Oh my god, my throat is getting so dry. One moment, everyone. Another sip of tea. Fun fact, the cup my PNG tuber is holding, it's based off the real cup I'm drinking out of right now. Very fun little detail. But when their hunger and their thirst were sated, the boys filled full the wine bowls, and they made libations, and they filled up every cup. All day the young Greeks pacified the god with dancing and with singing lovely hymns to please Apollo. And the archer god heard and was glad at heart. But when the sun set and the darkness came, they all lay down to sleep beside the cables of the ship. When rosy-fingered dawn appeared newborn, they made their way towards the Greek encampment. Apollo, distant archer, sent fair wind. They raised the mast and let the white sail fly. The wind filled the belly of the sail. The frothing wave crashed loudly round the stern, as through the sea the ship sped on and reached her destination. When the men arrived at where the large Greek army was encamped, they dragged the black ship onto shore, high up upon the sand, and set long props beneath. Then they dispersed to their own tents and ships. But all the while, swift-footed Lord Achilles, the son of Peleus, who Zeus had favored, still sat beside his ships and seethed with wrath. He never went to council where men gain glory, nor into battle. He stayed there and wore his heart away. He longed for war and battle cries, but when the 12th dawn came, the gods who live forever, led by Zeus, came back to Mount Olympus. Meanwhile, Thetis had not forgotten what her son had asked. In misty morning, from the waves she rose, up to the sky and up to Mount Olympus. She found the mighty son of Cronus, Zeus, whose voice extends around the world, alone, sitting upon the very highest peak among the many ridges of Olympus. She sat before him, and her left hand grasped his knee, her right hand touched beneath his chin. She begged him, "Father Zeus, if I have ever helped you in word or deed among the gods, fulfill this prayer for me and glorify my son, whose fate runs faster after him than any mortal's. Now Lord Agamemnon has disrespected him. He took his trophy to keep himself. Wise Zeus, Olympian, honor him. Give the Trojans power until the Greeks respect my son and grant him glory." Ah. 1 sec. Oh my gosh. I almost dropped my book. Uh-oh. Cloud-gathering Zeus did not reply, but sat for a long time in silence. Thetis stayed there, and kept on grasping at his knees, as if grafting herself to grow there. Finally, she spoke a second time. "Make me this vow, a solemn promise, then nod to it, or else refuse because you have no fear. Then I will know for sure I am the god most disrespected out of all of us." Then Zeus, who gathers clouds, was deeply troubled and said to her, "You have posed on me a dreadful task, to make an enemy of Hera, who is always scolding me. Among the deathless gods, she always blames me, and says I helped the Trojans in the war. You have to leave now, in case Hera sees you, but I will try my best to grant your wish, and so that you will trust me, I shall nod, my firmest guarantee amongst the gods. When I have nodded with my head, my word is trustworthy, irrevocable, sure. What I have promised must be carried out." With this, the son of Cronus bowed his head, with storm-dark brows. The god's immortal hair flowed from his deathless head and shook Olympus. The meeting between Zeus and Thetis finished. They parted. She leapt down from bright Olympus into the deep salt sea, and Zeus returned to his own house. No god dared hesitate when he arrived. They leapt from their chairs to greet their father right away. Then he sat on his throne. As soon as Hera saw him, she realized that silver-footed Thetis, child of the old sea god, had plotted with him. Immediately, she scolded Zeus. Who could have foreseen this? "Which god has schemed you this time, you clever trickster? You always love to make these secret plans without me, and you never dare to tell me openly what you have in mind." The father of humans and of gods replied, "Do not, Hera, expect to know all my intentions. They are too difficult to understand, even for you, although you are my wife. When there is something suitable to tell, no one will know about it before you, not god nor human. But when I decide to keep a secret from the other gods, you must not question me or ask about it." Then ox-eyed Hera said, "Most fearless Zeus, what do you mean? I never ask you questions. You think whatever thoughts you like in peace. And yet I fear that silver-footed Thetis, the sea god's daughter, may have talked and turned you. She came at dawn and sat in front of you and took your knees. I think you bowed your head and promised you would glorify Achilles, destroying many men beside the ships." Then Zeus, who gathers clouds, answered, "You startle me. You always have your notions. I can never get away with anything. But still, your actions will accomplish nothing, except to make me even more enraged, and that will surely be worse for you. If this did happen, it was as I wished. Sit down, be quiet, and do as I say. The others on Olympus will not help you when I lay overpowering hands upon you." "Excuse me?" "Sir?" The ox-eyed goddess Hera was afraid. She sat down quietly and quelled her rage. Within the house of Zeus on Mount Olympus, the gods were worried, and the famous craftsman Hephaestus spoke up to support his mother, the white-armed goddess Hera, whom he loved. It will be unbearable, terrible, if you two fight like this because of mortals. and cause a ruckus, ruining our pleasure and noble feasting. Baser things prevail, so I advise my mother, she herself already knows that this is for the best, to help dear Father Zeus, so he will not scold her again and so disturb our feast. If the Olympian Lord of Lightning wants to hurl us from our seats, he can do so. He is the strongest of us all by far. So, mother, talk to him with gentle words, and soon he will be kind to us again. Oh, I see. Then he picked up a double-handed cup and handed it to his dear mother, saying, "Be patient, mother. Though you are upset, restrain yourself. I cannot bear to see my mother, whom I love so much, beaten before my eyes. I could not help you, although I would be very sad about it. Zeus the Olympian is hard to challenge. One time before, when I tried helping you, he seized my foot and hurled me from the threshold of heaven. All day long I dropped. At sunset I fell on Lemnos, short of death. The Cynthians took care of me." White-armed Hera was smiling. With a smile she took the cup from her son's hand. He drew sweet nectar out of the bowl and poured it left to right for all the other gods who live at ease. Ebullient laughter. That's a new word. I've never read. Wow, I ran into a new word today. Laughter rose among the group, watching Hephaestus bustle round the hall. All day till sunset at the feast they shared out the food equally, and also shared the beauty of the lyre. Apollo held it. The muses sang, exchanging lovely voices. But when the dazzling sun had set, they went to their own homes to sleep. Each one was built with skill and cleverness by great Hephaestus, the famous artisan whose legs are bent. But Zeus, Olympian, the Lord of Lightning, went to his own bed, where he always lay when sweet sleep came upon him. There he slept, with Hera of the Golden Throne beside him. And that's book 1, and that took us about 50 minutes to get through, and it's, wow, yeah, the Iliad is very dense. I can probably get through book 2 as well today. I just want to take a short break, because reading does make my throat a little ouch. It does, just a little, so I'm just going to take a moment and drink and hang out a little. You know what, actually? Let me see if I can skip to the next room, because this is a whole thing. It has like a multiple room thing going, I believe. It switches to another room. No, it doesn't. Okay, I lied. Okay, what? This one works. Yeah. Well, every time that there's a new book, what we'll do is we'll switch to a new video, and we'll have a new little background going. This is just the fucking same thing at nighttime. 1 second, everyone. This is not the vibe. This is just the same guy, by the way. I just picked a guy that has, like, videos that are, I don't know. Nice, cozy videos. Does this have, like, the switching points of view? It does. Okay. Is everyone cozy-wozy? Is everyone enjoying their bedtime story? I hope you are. I'm enjoying it. I haven't read out loud in a very long time, so I hope everyone is enjoying their bedtime story. This is mostly for Soul, because he keeps asking me to do these sorts of streams, where he really, really, really wants me to just read all the time. Oh, right, I slowed down the speed. Let's put this back on normal, because there's fires and it looks weird. Slowed down. Okay. I feel sufficiently rested. I'm gonna take one more sip, though, of my tea. All right, sleepers. Book 2. The Multitude. All through the night, the men who master horses slept, and the gods slept too, except for Zeus. No gentle slumber seized him, and his heart was wondering how he could glorify Achilles and bring death to many men beside the Greek ships. So he formed a plan to send a deadly dream to Agamemnon, the son of Atreus. His words flew out. Rush to the swift Greek ships, destructive dream, and go inside the tent of Agamemnon. Convey precisely what I say to him. Tell him he has to arm the long-haired Greeks at once. Now is the moment he can capture the Trojan city with its spacious streets. The deathless gods who live on Mount Olympus no longer disagree with one another. Hera appealed to them and changed their minds. Disaster has been fastened to the Trojans. Hearing these words, the dream dashed off at once and quickly reached the swift Greek ships and found the son of Atreus inside his hut. Immortal sleep was swirling all around him. The dream stood by his head and took the form of Nestor, son of Neleus, the elder, whom Agamemnon held in greatest honor. In this man's likeness, the divine dream said, "You are asleep, great son of Atreus, the skillful horse lord. But a man who forms plans for the people who rely on him, who has so much responsibility, ought not to sleep all night. Now hear my voice. I am a messenger from Zeus, who loves you and pities you from far away. He says that you must arm the long-haired Greeks at once, because this is the moment you can capture the Trojan city with its spacious streets. The deathless gods who live on Mount Olympus no longer disagree with one another. Hera appealed to them and changed their minds. Disaster has been fastened to the Trojans by Zeus. Keep this in mind. Do not allow forgetfulness to seize you when the honey of sleep releases you." So spoke the dream and left him there. Then Agamemnon's heart imagined things that would not come to pass. He actually believed that he would capture the town of Priam on that very day. Poor fool! He did not know the plans of Zeus. The god intended to bring pain and grief to both the Greeks and Trojans through fierce fighting. The voice the gods had sent to Agamemnon suffused his senses when he woke from sleep. He sat up straight, put on a fine, soft tunic, new made, and wrapped his big cloak round himself, and tied his sandals to his well-oiled feet. Okay. He slung his sword, adorned with silver studs, across his back, took his ancestral staff, which never ages or decays, and went beside the ships among the bronze-clad Greeks. The goddess Dawn ascended high Olympus, portending light to Zeus and all others who live forever. Meanwhile, Agamemnon ordered the clear-voiced heralds to assemble the Greeks with flowing hair. They gathered quickly. He made the valiant counselors sit down beside the ship of Pylian Lord Nestor, then shared his clever strategy. "Now listen, my friends. I had a marvelous dream that came through the eternal night while I was sleeping. In its appearance, figure, size, and shape, it looked most similar to godlike Nestor. It stood above my head and said to me, oh my god, is this, oh my god, it's, okay. And said to me, 'You are asleep, great son of Atreus, the skillful horse lord. But a man who forms plans for the people who rely on him, who has so much responsibility, ought not to sleep all night. Now hear my voice. I am a messenger from Zeus, who loves you and pities you from far away. He says that you must arm the long-haired Greeks at once, because now is the moment you can capture the Trojan city with its spacious streets. The deathless gods who live on Mount Olympus no longer disagree with one another. Hera appealed to them and changed their minds. Disaster has been fastened to the Trojans by Zeus. Keep this in mind." With that, the dream flew off, and so was gone. Oh. And then sweet sleep released me. So come on now. We must call the sons of Greece to arms. But first I shall test them myself with words, as is the custom, and order them to row the fleet away. Meanwhile, you call them from the other side and try to hold them back. I just realized how late it is, and I need to see how many pages are left in this book. Book 2, we're not reading the entire Iliad in one sitting. All right, as fun as that would be, we'd be here for ages. Okay, I'm gonna try and find a stopping point before, but we'll see if I can finish it. All right. He sat back down, and Nestor, who was lord of Sandy Pylos, stood up and spoke among them with goodwill. Please, God. I don't want to yawn anymore. My friends, great lords and counselors of Greece, if any other Greek had told this dream, we would declare it false and turn away. But this is someone with a claim to be the best of all the Greeks, so now come on, we have to arm the fighters if we can. Yeah, this is gonna end horribly. Okay. With that, he led them from the council meeting. The leaders with their staffs in hand stood up and walked behind the shepherd of the people. The troops rushed out, as swarms of bees come rushing out of a hollow rock, more always coming, and fly and cluster on the springtime flowers, myriads here and there. So many swarms of men and ships and huts were marching out along the wide beach to the meeting place. Among them, rumor burned. She brought the news from Zeus and coaxed them on. The crowd assembled. The place was chaos, and the ground beneath them groaned as they sat. The noise was deafening. 9 heralds shouted at them to restrain them, to make them hush and listen to the leaders, whom Zeus holds dear. At last the troops sat down and stopped their noise, submissive on their benches. Lord Agamemnon stood up, with the staff constructed by the craftsman god Hephaestus. Hephaestus had first given it to Zeus, the noble son of Cronus, and Zeus gave it to Hermes, lord and guide who once killed Argos, who gave it to the man who whipped his horses, Pelops, and Pelops gave it in turn to Atreus, the shepherd of the people, who left it to Thyestes, rich in lambs. Thyestes passed it down to Agamemnon to hold and rule an archipelago and all of Argos. Leaning on this staff, Lord Agamemnon spoke. Oh my God. My friends, Greek fighters, servants of Ares, Zeus, the son of Cronus, has bound me tight within a heavy curse. That cruel god once gave his nod to me and promised I would sack the sturdy walls of Troy and go home safe. But he has played an evil trick on me. He sends me home to Argos in dishonor, as the leader responsible for losing all these troops. This, I suppose, must be the will of Zeus, the mighty god who has destroyed so many majestic cities and will ruin more. He has the greatest power. This will be shameful when people in the times to come hear that so vast an army of the Greeks made war against so few with no results, in vain achieving nothing. If both sides, the Greeks and Trojans, could agree to swear firm oaths and offer sacrifice, and count how many Trojans lived beside their hearths, and all of us were grouped in sets of 10, picking a Trojan man for every group to pour our wine, then many groups would lack a server. What a convoluted way to put that. Okay. By so much, I say, we Greeks outnumber all the Trojans living here. But they have many allies bearing spears from many other towns who beat me back, preventing me from sacking this fine town. Great Zeus has let 9 years go by. The timbers and cables of our ship are rotten through. Our wives and little children sit at home, waiting, and still we have not done the work for which we came here. Listen, all of you, and do as I suggest. Let us retreat. Let us leave here and sail back to our homes, the native lands we love. We can no longer expect to take the spacious streets of Troy. These words stirred every man within the crowd, except those who had heard the council meeting. The group was moved, as mighty waves at sea beside Icaria are roused by Oreus and Notus, rushing from the clouds of Zeus, their father, or when Zephyr blasts thick wheat and bends the ears with blasts of boisterous wind. So the crowd was moving. With a yell, they dashed towards the ships. Beneath their feet, dust rose. They told each other, "Seize and drag the ships towards the bright sea. Dig the furrows." Their shouting reached the sky. They longed for home. They moved the props from underneath their ships. And then the homeward journey of the Greeks would have begun too soon, before due time, if Hera had not spoken to Athena. She said, "This is disastrous. Look, Athena, unwearied children of Aegis-bearing Zeus. Those Greeks will sail back home to their own country, riding the broad seas back, and leaving Helen for Priam and the Trojans to gloat over. So many Greeks have died for her at Troy, so distant from their own dear native lands. Now mingle with the bronze-clad Greeks, and coax each man with mollifying words. They must not drag those curving ships to sea." The goddess with the flashing eyes, Athena, heard her and hurtled down from Mount Olympus, and swiftly reached the quick Greek ships, and found Odysseus, whose cunning equals Zeus. Thank you so much. Whose cunning equals Zeus. He had not touched his black ship set with benches, because his heart was troubled. With bright gaze, Athena stood near him and said, "Zeus-born son of Laertes, master strategist, will you all run away like this and fall upon the rowing benches of these ships? Will you go back to your dear fatherland and leave behind for Priam and the Trojans a glorious sign of triumph? Argive Helen, for whom so many Greeks have died at Troy, far from their homes. Go now among the army. Do not hold back. Speak calmly to each man and stop them. Do not let them drag the ships down to the sea." Athena told him this. He recognized the goddess by her voice and started running, tossing off his cloak. Eurybits, his Ithacian attendant, collected it. Odysseus approached the son of Atreus, and took from him the everlasting scepter of his fathers. With this he went beside the ships, confronting the bronze-clad Greeks. Whenever he encountered an elite warrior, he stood beside him and spoke to calm him and hold him back. "A spirit has possessed you. You must not be frightened like a coward or a peasant. Sit down and make the others sit as well. You do not understand what Agamemnon intends to do. This is a test. He will soon smite the sons of Greece if they should fail. Did we not all hear what he said in council? Do not let him get angry and cause harm to our own troops. Great is the willfulness of rulers who enjoy the gods' protection, because their honor comes from Zeus, and Zeus, the god of strategy, loves them so much." Perfect timing. I'm very thirsty. Yum, yum, yum. But when he saw and heard a common man shouting, he used his staff to beat him back and called to him with orders and commands. "A spirit has possessed you. Now sit down, be quiet, pay attention to your betters. You are a coward and unfit for battle, worthless in war and worthless in the council. We cannot all be rulers in this army. It is not good for many to share power. Only one man should rule and be a master. The man on whom the son of crooked Cronus, Zeus, has bestowed the staff and laws by which the ruler makes the plans for other men." So masterfully he controlled the army. They left the ships and huts again and rushed back to the meeting place, just as when waves of loud reverberating water crash onto the long shore and the deep sea rumbles. The men sat down, submissive on their benches. Only foul-mouthed Thersites argued back. This man knew how to blather on for hours with pointless and irrelevant complaints against the rulers, anything he thought might raise a laugh among the other Greeks. He was the ugliest man who marched on Troy. One of his legs was weak, the other twisted. His shoulders hunched across his chest. His head was pointy, and his sprouts of hair were sparse. Achilles and Odysseus especially loathed him, because he always scolded them. But now his piercing voice shot sharp reproofs at glorious Agamemnon, and the Greeks blamed him inside their hearts. They were enraged. Thersites yelled and cursed at Agamemnon. "You, son of Atreus, what do you need? What is your grievance? You have already huts full of bronze and full of hand-picked women, whom we Greek warriors assign to you. You get first choice whenever we take towns. Do you need yet more gold? Some Trojan horse lord will bring it out of Troy to free his son, captured by me or some other Greek and brought to you. Or do you need a woman, a young one to have sex with, and to keep all for yourself? It is not right for you, a leader, to involve the Greeks in ruin. Sweethearts, you are a terrible disgrace, Greek girls, not men. Now let us sail back home with all the ships and leave this man behind. Let him consume his winnings here at Troy, so he can see if we helped him or not. Just now he brought dishonor to Achilles, who is a better man than him by far. He took his trophy from him and has kept it. No anger lurks inside Achilles' heart. Wrong. He lets things go. If he were more persistent, this would have been the last time, Agamemnon, you would have treated anyone so badly." So spoke Thersites as he criticized the shepherd of the people, Agamemnon. Quickly, Odysseus stepped in and scowled and scolded him. "You blabbermouth, Thersites. You are quite marvelous at public speaking. But now shut up! You must not pick a quarrel alone against rulers of the army. You are the very worst, in my opinion, of all the mortal men who came to Troy with Agamemnon, son of Atreus. Your mouth should never speak the names of rulers. You must not level insults at your betters, or look around for chances to get home. We do not yet know how these things will go, whether the sons of Greece will get home safe or have a bitter journey. You sit there and criticize the son of Atreus, Lord Agamemnon, shepherd of the people, because the Greeks have given him so much. You keep complaining, but I tell you this, and swear that it will surely come to pass. If I find out that you continue acting as stupidly as you are doing now, I hope my head stops resting on my shoulders, and let Odysseus no more be called the father of Telemachus. Unless I grab you, rip your cloak and tunic off, expose your private parts, and beat you up, humiliating you with blows. I shall force you to leave the meeting place and go back to the swift ships, weeping and ashamed." I'm sorry. One second. Okay. Ooh, reading voice. Ooh. With that, Odysseus began to use his staff to thrash Thersites on the shoulders till he hunched over, sobbing. On his back, a bloody wheal puffed up beneath the rod of gold. He sat down, frightened and in pain, and helplessly he wiped away his tears. The men were troubled, but they smiled and laughed, and told each other, "This is something special. Odysseus has often done great things. He forms good plans and marshals troops for war, but now he has performed his greatest service for all of us. He silenced that rude windbag. Thersites will not come back here again, led by a strong, proud heart to criticize the rulers with insulting words." So spoke the multitude. And then Odysseus, sacker of cities, straightened up and held his scepter high. Athena stood beside him with flashing eyes. She looked just like a herald. She made the troops be silent, so the Greeks, both those in front and those right at the back, could hear the speech and listen to his plans. He spoke among the people with goodwill and said, "My lord, great son of Atreus, the Greeks now want you to experience the worst disgrace of any man on earth. They mean to break the oath they swore to you when they set out from Argos, land of horses, that they would sack the sturdy walls of Troy before returning." Oh, excuse me. Now they weep and wail like little boys or women struck by grief because they want to go back home again. Our troubles would make anyone give up. A man who waits for just a single month, trapped on the benches of his ship by gust of winter storms and choppy surging seas, far from his wife, will surely grow impatient. We have been waiting here for 9 years now. I do not blame the Greeks for growing restless beside the curving ships, but it is shameful to stay so long, then go back with nothing. My friends, endure and wait a little while, until we learn if Calchas told the truth. Those of you not yet carried off by death are witnesses that lately, when Greek ships gathered at Aulis to bring pain to Priam and to the Trojans, we were sacrificing a perfect hecatomb for the immortals beside the holy altars, underneath a lovely plane tree by a dazzling spring. The water sprouted from the tree. Then came a miracle. A red-backed snake, a horror sent to the sunlight by Olympian Zeus, slipped slithering from underneath the altar toward the tree. The sparrow chicks were huddled upon the highest branch beneath the leaves. There were 8 chicks. The mother was the 9th. He ate the chicks, still piteously chirping. Their mother, squawking in her grief, flapped round her darling children, but the snake entwined her and seized her by the wing and ate her up. When he had eaten her and all her children, then Zeus, the son of double-dealing Cronus, who had revealed the snake, converted him into a sign by turning him to stone. We stood there in amazement at these marvels. The sparrows and the snake had interrupted the holy hecatomb, and right away Calchas the seer spoke up. Why are you silent, long-haired Greek warriors? Why Zeus has shown us a marvelous divine sign, slow to come and slow to be fulfilled, the fame of which will never die. Just as this snake devoured the sparrow and her children, 8 of them, their mother making 9, so we will fight this war at Troy for 9 years. In the 10th we will take the city with its spacious streets. He prophesied, and now it all comes true. So you must stay here, well-armed Greeks, until we sack the mighty town of Priam. At this the Greeks cheered loudly, and around them the ships resounded back a dreadful echo. They praised the speech of great Odysseus. Gerenian Nestor, horse lord, spoke to them. This is appalling. You behave in council like little children, with no thought or care about the work of warfare. What will happen to all our oaths and pacts, our plans, our counsels, right hand shakes, given as a mark of trust and pure libations? All of them can burn. We bicker endlessly with all these speeches, wasting our time and finding no solution. You, son of Atreus, hold firm your purpose and lead the Greeks through every violent conflict, and death to any man or pair of men who form a separate plan which will not work, to go back home to Greece before we learn if Aegis-bearing Zeus will keep his word. I say that the almighty son of Cronus nodded his blessing on the day we Greeks set sail in our swift ships to carry ruin to all the Trojans. He sent bolts of lightning onto our right hand, an omen of success. So no man ought to hurry off back home before he shares a Trojan woman's bed to pay for Helen's suffering and struggles. But if some man is desperate to go home, then let him touch his black ship's rowing benches, and he can meet his fated end and die right here in front of everyone. Now then, my lord, make your own plans, but hear me also. I tell you something not to be ignored. Pick men by tribe and kinship, Agamemnon, so tribe helps tribe, and kinsmen help their kinsmen. If you do this, and all the Greeks obey, you will soon see which leaders and which men are cowardly and which are brave and strong, because they will be fighting in their groups. So if you do not manage to take Troy, then you will know if it is heaven's will or human cowardice and ignorance of war. God. And almighty Agamemnon answered, if you beat all other Greeks at council speeches. If I only had 10 men just like you to strategize with me, then certainly by Father Zeus, Athena, and Apollo, the city of Lord Priam soon would crumble, captured and ruined by these hands of ours. But Zeus, the Aegis-bearing son of Cronus, has given pain and suffering to me, embroiling me in quarreling and conflicts, impossible for anyone to manage. Achilles and myself exchanged harsh words. We fought about a woman. I began it. I lost my temper, and I acted harshly. But if one day we strategize together, the Trojans will have no relief from pain, not even for a moment. All of you, go eat your dinner and prepare for Ares. Sharpen your spears and lift your shields and feed the swift-footed horses. Check the chariots carefully. Mine's on war, so we can meet the test of cruel cruel Ares all day long. There will be no break, even for a moment, until the night comes and parts the eager fighters. The straps that hold your shield against your chest will sweat around your body, and your hand will weary as it grasps your sword. Your horse will sweat and strain to pull the gleaming carriage, but anyone I catch in the attempt to stay back here beside the curving ships and shirk from battle will not have a chance to save himself from hungry dogs and birds. At this, the warriors shouted as the sea, roused by notice, crashes on the rocks beneath the cliff, when gusts from all directions drive never-ending waves against the shore. The men jumped up, dispersed, and dashed away toward their ships. Smoke rose amid the huts as they made dinner. Each man sacrificed to one of the immortal gods and prayed he would survive the struggles set by Ares. When Agamemnon, lord of men, had offered a fat bull, 5 years old, to mighty Zeus, he summoned all the finest of the Greeks, first Nestor and Lord Idomeneus, then the 2 Ajaxes, and Diomedes, and sixth Odysseus, whose wily cunning could rival that of Zeus. And Menelaus, the master of the war cry, came to join his brother without needing to be called. He knew what Agamemnon had been doing. These leaders formed a circle round the bull and took some barley grains, and Agamemnon spoke in their midst. Almighty Zeus, great god of dark clouds, god in heaven, before sunset, before the shadows come, may I hurl down the hall of Priam, blacken it with smoke, and set his gates ablaze with deadly fire, and let my spear slice Hector's shirt to shreds, and may his multitude of friends and comrades fall to the dust, their teeth sunk deep in earth. But Zeus, the son of Cronus, did not fulfill his prayer. He took the offering, but magnified their pain. When they had prayed and sprinkled barley, they pulled back the head and slit the throat and skinned the animal, cut off the thighs and covered them with fat, a double layer with raw meat on top, and burned them with the leafless twigs. They put the innards onto spits, held them over the fire. Hephaestus. Once the thighs were burned, they ate the innards, chopped the rest and put the meat on spits and roasted it with care, then pulled it off. And once their work was done, the cookery complete, they ate the feast, and no one lacked an equal share. But after their hunger and thirst had been appeased, Gerenian Nestor, horse lord, spoke up first. Most honored lord and master, Agamemnon, great son of Atreus, let us not stay assembled here for long. Let us not long postpone the tasks the god enjoins. Come on, let heralds call the army of the Greeks to gather by the ships dressed all in bronze. Let us cross the great encampment and quickly waken Ares, god of war. Lord Agamemnon heeded him. At once he told the clear-voiced heralds they must summon the long-haired Greeks to battle. And they did so. The men were gathered quickly, and the rulers favored by Zeus, at Agamemnon's side, hurried to marshal them. And in their midst, bright-eyed Athena held her special goatskin, the precious, ageless, and undying Aegis, from which 100 braided tassels flutter, each of pure gold, each worth 100 cattle. Wearing this cape, she dazzled as she swooped among the troops and urged them in. She roused in every heart the will to fight forever. At once, the thought of war became to them sweeter than sailing home in hollow ships back to their native lands, the homes they loved. As deadly fires blaze through a forest across the mountain peaks, and from afar the gleam is visible, So brightly shone the shimmering brightness of majestic bronze as men advanced. It reached through air to sky, just as when many flocks of geese or cranes or long-necked swans take wing across the meadow in Lydia, around the streams of Cayster. They soar in all directions, relishing their wings. Then, with loud cries, they swoop and settle, so that the fen resounds with noise. So many flocked Scamander's plain from ships and tents. The earth was ringing with the dreadful din of feet and hooves. A multitude assembled among the meadow flowers by Scamander, as many as the flowers and leaves in spring, as many as the throngs of buzzing flies, flittering round a sheepfold in the spring when every canister is full of milk. So many long-haired Greeks stood on the plain, facing the Trojans, eager to destroy them. As goat herds easily divided large flocks mixed in the pasture, so the leaders split the massive army into ranks and marshaled the men for war. And powerful Agamemnon stood in their midst, and in his eyes and stature he looked like thunder-loving Zeus. His waist was like the waist of Ares, and his chest was like Poseidon's, like a bull who stands supreme above the assembled herd of cattle. Just so Zeus made the son of Atreus supreme that day among so many fighters, the greatest of them all. Now tell me, Muses, who have your houses high on Mount Olympus? For you are goddesses, and you are here, and you know everything. You see it all. While we can only listen to the stories, we have seen nothing, and we do not know. Who were the lords and leaders of the Greeks? I could not tell or name the multitude, not even if I had 10 tongues, 10 mouths, a voice that never broke, a heart of bronze. Had not the Olympian muses, who are daughters of Aegis-bearing Zeus, made me aware of how many came to Troy. I catalog only the captains and the ships they brought. So guys, we're at the part that I was talking about earlier, where we just list all of the people that are at this war. And as fun as reading a list of names is, I think I'm going to skip it. I'm sorry. I know. I'm breaking your hearts. Oh, right, it just ends. Well, that is the conclusion of Book 2. I do definitely need a little bit more of a break this time because, well, these are both taking like similar amounts of time. It's definitely, but yeah, I hope you guys have been enjoying so far. This has definitely been fun for me. I know you guys are here for the book, but I am taking a break for just a moment. Trust me, you'll be back to sleepy time soon. Your bedtime story is not over for now. This is really, really cool for me. Especially because I love Greek mythology, and this is giving me the motivation to sit down and actually fucking read the Iliad. You know what? Actually, I can probably put on music to signal when breaks are happening, also to make sure that I actually take breaks, because I am very bad at taking breaks. So we are going to put on this cozy wozy musician who does covers of really old English songs, like actual old English. We're gonna hang out and listen to that a little bit, and then we'll get back to reading, because I won't lie, guys, my throat hurts a little, so we're just gonna just for a little. But yeah, no, I love this. And Emily Wilson's translation is very dear to me. Very special. accidentally threw my mouse. Okay. Mm. Okay. My throat is feeling a lot better. Alright. Let us get to the next one. Oh yeah, I gotta skip both of them. For book 3, why is it just flashing white? That's not what I wanted. I don't want a cinematic intro. Get away from me. That's so cool. I just want... Okay. Perfect. Alright. Book 3. Gifts of the Goddess. When all the warriors had been assembled, arranged in proper order with their leaders, the Trojans marched with calls and cries like birds, just like the cries of cranes across the sky when they escape torrential weather rains and fly away towards the streams of ocean and bring destruction to the... I'm not saying this word. We're going to skip that word. I'm pretty sure that's a direct translation over, but I'm pretty sure that's a slur. Destruction to people. Out of the air, they strike and start the conflict. The Greeks march silently, breathing aggression, their hearts determined to protect each other. As on the peaks of some high mountaintop, the south wind, notice, pours a fog so thick that nobody can see beyond a stone's throw. Unwelcome to the shepherds, but for thieves better than night, so rose the cloud of dust beneath their feet. They hurtled at such speed across the plain. As they drew near each other, the fighter at the forefront of the Trojans was godlike Paris Alexander, wearing a cloak of panther skin draped round his shoulders. He held a curving bow and sword, and brandished 2 spears, both tipped with bronze. He stood in front and summoned all the bravest of the Greeks to fight him hand to hand in deadly combat. When Menelaus, friend of Ares, noticed Paris come striding out before the crowd, he was delighted, as a starving lion is thrilled to come across a massive carcass, a stag with antlers, or a mountain goat, and avidly begins to eat the flesh, even if eager hunters and quick hounds attack him. In the same way, Menelaus was thrilled to set his eyes on godlike Paris, believing he would make the culprit pay. At once he seized his weapons and jumped down out of his chariot onto the ground. When godlike Paris Alexander saw him appear among the foremost line of fighters, his confidence was battered, and he slunk back to his group of friends, avoiding death. As in the valleys of a mountainside, when someone sees a snake and startles back, their body trembles and their cheeks turn pale, and off they run, so godlike Paris, frightened of Menelaus, son of Atreus, drew back among the throngs of Trojan fighters, but Hector saw him and reproached and shamed him. Pathetic Paris, womanizer, cheat, you are the very best at looking pretty. Oh, how I wish that you had never lived or died unmarried. That would be far better than life such as an object of contempt. The Greeks will surely laugh at you and say you look so handsome, like a champion, but in your heart there is no will to fight, no courage. Yet, despite your feebleness, you gathered up a crew of trusty men and sailed in sturdy ships across the sea to intermingle with the foreigners, and brought a pretty woman back with you, whose relatives by marriage are strong spearmen. You brought great suffering to all of us, your father and your city, all our people. You pleased our enemies, but shamed yourself. Why could you not face warlike Menelaus? You ought to know the man whose wife you took. The gifts of Aphrodite will not help you. Your lyre, your hair, and your attractiveness, when you are lying mingled with the dust. The Trojans are such cowards, were they not? They would have dressed you in a shirt of rocks for all the evils you have perpetuated. But godlike Paris Alexander answered, Hector, it is quite reasonable for you to scold me in this way. Your heart is always tough as an axe that slices through a tree. used by a skillful man to build a ship. It magnifies the power of a man. The spirit in your heart is just as fearless, but do not blame me for the lovely gifts of golden Aphrodite. Glorious gifts that come from gods, that they themselves have given, must not be thrown away, although no human chooses them willingly. Now, if you want me to fight in battle and should join the war, you must line up the other Greeks and Trojans, and in the middle of them all, set me to fight with Menelaus, friend of Ares, for Helen, and for all the wealth and treasure. And let the winning man, the stronger fighter, get all the wealth and take the woman home. The rest of you must sacrifice and swear a solemn oath of friendship. Keep your homes in fertile Troy, and let the Greeks return to Greece, where horses pasture in the fields, and women are most beautiful. These words delighted Hector, and he went among the lines of Trojan troops and held them back, grasping the middle of his spear. All sat. The long-haired Greeks hurled javelins at him, and pelted stones, and shot at him with arrows. But Agamemnon, lord of men, called out, "Hold back, young men of Greece, and do not shoot him. Hector in his bright helmet comes to talk." At once they stopped attacking and fell silent. Hector addressed both armies. "Listen now, Trojans and well-armed Greeks, to what the man who has started this whole conflict has to say. Paris is asking all the other Trojans and all the other Greeks to set aside our splendid weapons on the earth that feeds us, while he himself fights warlike Menelaus, holding a duel in the midst of us, for Helen and for all the wealth. The winner will get the wealth and take the woman home. The rest of you must sacrifice and swear a solemn oath of friendship." So he spoke. Then everyone was silent. No one spoke, till Menelaus, master of the war cry, called out to them, "Now listen to me also. My heart is suffering from dreadful grief. I think the Greeks and Trojans must disperse. You have already suffered too much harm from my dispute with Paris, which you started. Death is the destiny of one of us. Let that man die. The rest of you fall back at once, and let the Trojans bring 2 sheep, a white ram and a black ewe, I never know how to say that word, as their gifts for earth and sun. We shall provide a 3rd to sacrifice to Zeus. Call Priam here to sacrifice and swear the oath himself, because his sons are arrogant and faithless. Let no one overstep the oaths of Zeus. The minds of younger men are always flighty. When an old man is present at a meeting, he can assess the interest of both sides, because he looks to both the past and future." At this, the Greeks and Trojans were delighted. They hoped the agonizing war would end. They lined the horses and chariots up, got out and took their weapons off and set them, heaped on the ground, one laid beside the next, covering almost every inch of earth. Then Hector made the heralds rush to town to bring sheep and summon Priam out. Lord Agamemnon sent Talibaeus down to the hollow ships to bring the ram. The man obeyed great Agamemnon. Iris went as messenger to white-armed Helen, shaped like Laodice, her husband's sister, the wife of influential Helikion, Antenor's son. She was the prettiest of Priam's daughters, and in this disguise, Iris found Helen in the palace hall, weaving a massive double-layered cloth in dazzling colors, patterning upon it the many troubles, tests, and tribulations that Trojan horsemen and bronze-armored Greeks suffered at Ares' hands because of her. Swift-footed Iris stood near her and said, "Sweet sister, come with me so you can see the new extraordinary behavior of Trojan horsemen and of bronze-armed Greeks. Before, they were intent on deadly war. Across the plain they carried to each other Ares, the god of tears, the god of war. But now they sit in silence. War has ceased. The warriors lean back against their shields, their long spears fixed beside them in the earth. Paris and Menelaus, friend of Ares, will fight a duel for you with long spears. You will be called the winner's loving wife." With this, the goddess poured into her heart sweet longing for her city and her parents, and for her former husband. Then, at once, she wrapped herself in fresh white linen clothes and hurried from her bedroom, crying softly. She did not go alone. 2 slaves went with her, Aethra, the child of Pythias and ox-eyed Clymene, Clymene. Yep. Soon they reached the Scaean gates, where Priam's senior advisors sat. Pantheus, Lampus, warlike Hecation, thoughtful Antenor, wise Oclugion, Clytus, and Thymoetes. All these men were now too old for war, but good in counsel, just as cicadas settle in the trees and fill the wood with sounds as sweet as lilies. These were the Trojan leaders on the tower. When they saw Helen coming there, their words flew forth. The old men said to one another, "The Trojans and Greeks in their fine armor should not be blamed for suffering so for such a woman, being as she is. It is uncanny how she seems to look like the immortal goddesses. But still, though she is like this, let her sail away, or she may bring catastrophe for us and for our children in the future." So spoke the old men. But then Priam called Helen to come to him and said, "Dear child, come sit by me and watch your former husband and family and friends and relatives. I do not blame you for the least in this. I blame the gods who roused the tears of war in conflict with the Greeks. Now, who is that enormous man down there? Please let me know. I have seen others taller, but my eyes have never seen a man with such good looks, with such authority. Indeed, he seems like so a leader." Glorious Helen answered, "Father-in-law, I love and respect you. I wish that I had chosen painful death the day I came here with your son and left my bedroom, kinsman, late-born precious daughter, and cherished group of women friends. I did not. That is why I have melted into tears. But I can give you an answer to your question. That man you see down there is Agamemnon, the son of Atreus, whose power spreads across a wide expanse of land. He is a skillful leader and a strong spear fighter, and he was once my kinsman through his brother, the former husband of my dog-faced self, if any of these things took place at all." Old Priam marveled at the Greek commander and said, "You are so lucky, Agamemnon, favored by the gods and born the child of fortune. So many Greeks are under your command. I went to Phrygia, where the rich vines grow, and saw the massive Phrygian armies led by Otreus and godlike Megadon, driving their quick, bright horses, when those troops were marching beside the banks of the Sangarius. I served among them on the very day the Amazons, who rival men, arrived. These quick-eyed Greeks outnumber all of them." Then old King Priam saw Odysseus and said, "Dear daughter, come now, tell me also who that man is, much shorter in his stature than Agamemnon, son of Atreus, but broader in his shoulders and his chest. His weapons have been set down on the earth that feeds us all, and he himself is pacing among the lines of soldiers like a ram. I would compare him to a thick-fleeced ram among a mighty flock of bright white sheep." And Helen, child of Zeus, made this reply, "That is intelligent Odysseus, Laertes' son, brought up in Ithaca, a rugged island. He knows every trick, and he can always form the wisest plans." Then wise Antenor said to Helen, "Lady, your words are true. Godlike Odysseus came into Troy with warlike Menelaus a while ago, upon an embassy to try and get you back. They were my guests inside my home. I welcomed both of them into my halls. I got to know their looks and how they think. They joined us in assemblies, and when they were both standing, Menelaus was more imposing with his massive shoulders. But when they sat, Odysseus had more authority. When they were weaving words and telling everybody their proposals, then Menelaus could speak fluently, but few words but clear one, brief and to the point. But when the brightly intelligent Odysseus leapt up, he kept his eyes fixed on the ground, and did not move his staff forward or back, but kept it still, as if entirely ignorant of its proper use.
You might think he was angry or a fool. But when did he release his mighty voice from his But when he did release his mighty voice from deep inside his chest, he poured forth words like winter snowflakes. No one then could match Odysseus, and we no longer thought to notice his appearance. Then old Priam saw a third fighter, Ajax, and he asked, "Who is this other, big, strong Greek, who stands taller by head and shoulders than the rest?" Majestic Helen, in her long, fine dress, replied, "That giant warrior is Ajax, the Greek defender. On his other side, the godlike Idomeneus is standing among the Creatans, and the Cretan leaders are gathered round him. Warlike Menelaus hosted him often in our home, whenever he visited from Crete." Oh, yeah, I was right, Cretans. Literally Cretans. Anyways. "Now I can see all of the quick-eyed Greeks whose names I know, except for two commanders in the army, Castor the horseman and the boxer Pollux, my full-blood brothers. We all shared a mother. Perhaps they did not march from lovely Sparta, or else they did sail here across the sea, but now they do not want to join the fighting, frightened of all the insults and the shame leveled at me." She said all this while already they lay beneath the earth, the source of life, back home in Sparta in their dear land. Now heralds brought through town the offerings to sanctify the oaths: 2 sheep and wine that cheers the heart, the harvest of the field, inside a goatskin flask. A herald named Idaeus brought a shining bowl and cups of gold. He sat beside old King Priam to rouse him into action, saying, "Come now, Come now, son of Laomedion. They summon you, the leaders of the Trojans, lords of horses, and of Greeks in tunics forged of bronze, down to the plain to sacrifice and swear a holy oath. Now Paris Alexander and warlike Menelaus will do battle with long spears for the woman. She must follow the winner, who will also claim the wealth. The rest of us will offer sacrifices and solemn oaths, and will go on living in fertile Troy. Those men will go back home to Argos, where the horses graze in pastures, and where the women are so beautiful, in Greece." When he said this, the old man shuddered. He took his men to harness up the horses, and they obeyed at once. King Priam mounted his splendid chariot and took the reins. Antenor climbed beside him, and they drove the galloping horses through the Scaean gates, out to the plains where they reached the waiting armies, and there they stepped down from the chariot onto the earth that feeds the world, and strode into the middle of the Greeks and Trojans. Immediately the great Lord Agamemnon stood up, as did the master strategist Odysseus. The noble stewards brought the offerings to ratify the truce, and mixed the wine inside the bowl, and poured the washing water on the leaders' hands. Then Agamemnon, son of Atreus, drew out the butcher's knife that always hung beside the mighty scabbard of his sword, and lopped off tufts of head hair from the sheep. The stewards shared the tufts among the leaders. Then Agamemnon raised his hands and prayed. "Lord Zeus, our mighty father, nursed on Ida, you are the most magnificent and greatest. And Helios, the sun, you see and hear everything. And you rivers, and you earth, and Hades and Persephone, who punish the weary humans in the underworld if any of them cheated on a promise. You be our witness, protect our oaths. If Paris slaughters Menelaus, let him keep Helen and keep all the wealth and treasure, and let our fleet sail home across the sea. If light-haired Menelaus slaughters Paris, then let the Trojans give back all the wealth, and Helen, and they also have to give appropriate compensation to us Greeks, to glorify us even in the eyes of people in the future. But if Priam and Priam's sons refuse to pay the price when Paris is defeated, I shall fight to make them give me recompense, and stay right here until I make an end of war." With that, he used his pitiless bronze to slit the sheep's throats, and he laid them gasping down upon the ground to take their final breaths. The bronze blade took their strength. The Greeks and Trojans ladled out the wine of the mixing bowl and poured it into cups, and then they made prayers to the everlasting gods, like this: Zeus, the most glorious and mightiest, and all you other deathless gods, let those who are the first to violate these oaths have their brains splattered on the ground, just like this wine, theirs and their children. Let their wives become the property of other men. That was their prayer, but Zeus, the son of Cronus, did not yet grant it. The Dardian Priam addressed them all. Now listen to me, Trojans and well-armed Greeks. I will go back towards the windy town of Troy. I cannot bear to watch with my own eyes my own dear son fighting with Menelaus, friend to Ares. Zeus and the other deathless gods must know which one of the two has been ordained to die. With these words, Priam, equal of the gods, loaded the lambs inside his handsome carriage, and mounted it himself and took the reins. Antor climbed beside him, and the two sped back to Troy. Then Hector, Priam's son, and glorious Odysseus first measured the arena, and then took the lots and shook them in a bronze helmet to find out which fighter should hurl his bronze spear first. The people prayed, lifting up their arms to the gods, and each, Trojans and Greeks alike, made prayers like this. Lord Zeus, our mighty father, nursed on Ida, you are the most magnificent and greatest. Whichever of these two men is to blame for what is happening to Greece and Troy, let that man die, and so descend to Hades, and may we have a truce in the pact of friendship. So spoke the men, and mighty bright-helmed Hector, keeping his eyes averted, shook the lots. The lot of Paris jumped right out at once. The fighters sat and rose, and each man sat his finely fashioned weapon at his side. The horses kicked their hooves beside the men, but godlike Paris Alexander, husband of Helen with the lovely braided hair, first strapped his armor to his lower legs, beautiful greaves equipped with silver anklets. Around his chest he fixed a corslet, borrowed, although it fit him nicely, from his brother Lycaon. He then slung across his shoulders a silver-studded sword of bronze, and seized his massive heavy shield. On his strong head he put a well-made helmet with a horse plume. The crest on top looked fearsome as it swayed. He took his sturdy sword, it fit in his hand, and warlike Menelaus, likewise armed. When they were ready, they each strode into the middle of the Greeks and Trojans, glaring at one another. As they watched, the well-armed Greeks and Trojans horsemen marveled. The two men now stood very close together inside the measured area and brandished their spears in furious anger at each other. Paris let fly his spear that cast long shadows. The bronze struck hard against the balanced shield of Menelaus, son of Atreus, but did not penetrate. The weapon's tip buckled against the sturdy shield. In turn, Lord Menelaus, son of Atreus, leapt up and raised his spear of bronze and prayed to Father Zeus. Lord Zeus, grant that I punish this man who wronged me first, the godlike Paris. Bring him down low beneath my hands, so that all people in the future shrink from harming a host who treated them with love and friendship. With that he aimed, then hurled his long dark spear, and struck the finely balanced shield of Paris. The sturdy weapon pierced the shining shield, went through the intricate breastplate, then cut right through his tunic to his flank. But Paris escaped black death by leaning to the side. Then Menelaus, son of Atreus, drew out his silver-studded sword and raised it high, and then smashed it on the decoration of his opponent's helmet. But the blade shattered and broke in fragments, 3 or 4, and fell out of his hand. And Menelaus groaned and looked up towards the spreading sky and shouted, "Father Zeus, no other god could be more cruel than you are. I thought that I would punish Paris for his crimes, but now my sword is broken in my hands. I threw my spear away from me in vain. It did not hit him." Then he leapt on Paris and grabbed him by the shaggy horsehair helmet, twisted him round, and started dragging him toward the well-armed Greeks. And Paris had a strap adorned with rivets that secured his helmet underneath his chin, which choked his delicate neck. Now Menelaus would have dragged him the whole way there and won glory for all eternity, but Aphrodite, daughter of Zeus, looked down with her keen gaze and broke his oxide helmet leather strap. Then Menelaus, with a firm, sure grasp, pulled off the empty helmet, whirled it round, and tossed it out towards the well-armed Greeks. and his companions caught it. Menelaus dashed back again, pursuing Paris, longing to kill him with his spear of bronze. But then the goddess Aphrodite snatched up Paris with the greatest ease, as gods can do, and hid him in a dense mist, and set him down inside his fragrant, perfumed bedroom. Next, the goddess went off to summon Helen, whom she found upon the high wall with some Trojan women. She plucked at Helen's scented dress, disguised in look and voice as the old spinning woman who fashioned pretty woolen clothes for her in Sparta when she lived there, and who had loved her. In this guise, heavenly Aphrodite said, "Come here. Paris is calling you back home. He is inside the bedroom on the knotted bed. His clothes are dazzling. So is his beauty. You would not think he just came back from fighting. He seems to like someone ready to go dancing, or just stop dancing, sitting down to rest." With these words, Aphrodite roused her feelings. She saw the goddess had a throat and neck of the most extraordinary beauty, breasts to stir desire, and bright shining eyes. She was astonished and said, "You, goddess? Why do you want to trick me in this way? Will you keep leading me to yet more cities, and Phrygia, or in fine Macedonia, if any other mortal takes your fancy? Now Menelaus has defeated Paris and wants to take him home with me again, although I am so hateful. Is that why you come to me now with these tricks of yours? Then go to him yourself and sit beside him. Give up the path of the gods and let your feet never turn back again to Mount Olympus. Spend all your time on taking care of Paris, crying for him, until he makes you either his slave girl or his wife. But I will not ever go back. It would bring retribution, and I will never service that man's bed. All of the Trojan women in the future will blame me if I do, and in my heart I will endure more pain than I can measure." Glorious Aphrodite, furious, said, "Stubborn girl, you must not make me angry, or in my rage I will abandon you, and I will start to loathe you with as deep a passion as I have loved you as my friend till now. I shall devise a strategy to make you loathed and abhorred by both the Greeks and the Trojans, and you shall die a dreadful death." At this, Helen, the daughter of Zeus, was terrified. She wrapped her white cloak around herself and slipped away in silence, secretly, so that the Trojan women did not notice. The goddess led the way, and when they reached the marvelous house of Paris, slaves were quickly scurrying round to do their work. But Helen, the godlike woman, went up to the bedroom, and Aphrodite, who loves smiles, was there. She drew a chair for her and set it down across from Paris Alexander. Helen, the child of Zeus who bears the Aegis, sat there. Her eyes would not meet his. She spoke and scolded her husband. "So, you came back from the fighting. I wish that you had died out there, defeated by that strong man who used to be my husband, before you claimed you were superior to warlike Menelaus in your strength and hands and spear. So go on, challenge him. Call Menelaus back again to fight you. But no, I order you to stop. Do not make war and fight with ruddy Menelaus. It would be idiotic. You would soon lose and lie dead beneath that fighter's spear." Then Paris answered, "Do not scold me, wife, with so much criticism of my courage. It is true Menelaus beat me this time, thanks to Athena. Next time I shall win. We also have some gods on our side. But come now, let us go to bed and take pleasure in making love. I never felt desire like this enfolded all around me, not even when I first took you away by ship across the sea from lovely Sparta. And afterwards, upon the Isle of Cranae, I shared a bed with you and we made love. Not even then was I so seized by sweet desire for you." He led her to the bed. His wife came with him, and the two of them lay there on the well-made bed. But meanwhile, Menelaus paced around all through the crowd like some wild animal, trying to catch a glimpse of godlike Paris. None of the Trojans or their noble allies could find where Paris was, though if they had, they would not have concealed him out of friendship. Indeed, the Trojans all detested Paris as if he were Black Death. Then Agamemnon, the lord of men, said, "Listen to me now, Trojans, Dardanelles, and allied fighters. It must be obvious that Menelaus has won the duel, so you must return both Argive Helen and the treasure with her, and pay a proper compensation too, so the people in the future will remember." The Greeks approved of the words of Agamemnon. Okay, well, that is the end of book 3, and I think that is where I'm going to call it for today's stream. I hope you all enjoyed, and it is about that time for bed. I hope I can do this again another time. This was very nice. I enjoyed it quite a lot. And let me put on a little bit of music in the background. All right. You all sleep well. Have a good night. If I do another reading stream, which I probably will, I will definitely be reading the Odyssey all the way through until I am done with it. And then we will go to the Iliad first. And then we will go to the Odyssey. And then if I'm feeling excitable, we'll read the Aeneid. And then I have a lot of classic books I would like to read on stream. So hopefully I will do this again. But sleep well, everyone. Have a good night. And I hope you